What do you guys think?
Hell yeah!
Is it what you were expecting?
Much more.
All that and more.
Jericho, you're a scholar of the genre.
Yes.
How'd you get hooked up with Lowell to make this film?
So I was a fan of Wolf Cop, which is a movie that
nice.
Lowell had done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And usually, like, it's interesting. So when you do, when you get into acting and want to do more, one of the most coveted things you can get is an offer. And what an offer means is you're offered the part. You don't have to audition. There's no BS. It's like, do you want to do this role? So I got an offer to do this role, and at first I kind of shy away from any kind of wrestling related projects because most wrestling movies are pretty cheesy, if we can be honest. You know, especially wrestling horror movies. They never really get it right. You know, wrestlers versus zombies and that sort of thing. But because it was Lowell Dean and because of his history with Wolf Cop, I said, well, let me at least read it. Plus, it's an offer. You know, not exactly Brad Pitt with, you know, the phone ringing off the hook with offers. So I read the script and I was like, this is really, really good. Because much like, for example, The Walking Dead is a drama about society with zombies as a backdrop, this was more of a satanic cult trying to raise, you know, the devil from hell with wrestling as a backdrop. And I just really liked that. I thought he did a really good job of capturing wrestling, especially small time wrestling, the talk, I mean, kayfabe, one of the biggest jokes of the movie, like that sort of stuff. So it was enough wrestling to me that was legit on it. And if you saw, I was executive producer to help kind of tie that in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the wrestling business and you see a lot of these wrestling movies, it's just not how it is. And he really captured that, and plus the horror element of it, and the gore, and like I mentioned, being batshit crazy, just the whole finale, and I just really liked it, and so that's kind of what attracted me to it. And you know, here we went up to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in December. As you can see, that's not fake snow, that's real snow. It was fucking freezing, but it all paid off in the end. It all paid off in the end.
One of the things that I think sets this movie apart, outside of the gore, the Satan, the horror, there's a lot of heart.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of heart, both in terms of the portrait of, you know, an indie wrestling league, but also, you know, yes, you're trying to raise Satan, but you got a daughter. Can you tell me a little bit about like tackling that as a character?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, like you mentioned, the emotion of it. I thought that Stephen Ogg and Ayisha Issa, who played the leads, did such a great job of that emotion. And then, of course, yeah, then out of the blue, the leader's daughter gets killed, and you're kind of like, what? Like, what, that's his daughter. So yeah, there was that whole part of it too, to where I think when people first hear that Chris Jericho's in Dark Match, they think I'm probably gonna be one of the wrestlers or whatever it may be, and kind of don't expect me to be the head heel, so to speak. But then have this daughter, then you know she gets killed in front of me, and that kind of snaps him as well. So yeah, there really is a lot of that sort of side of it too. It was actually really a great part from an acting standpoint. You know, it's not just kind of like I said, like wrestler, grrr, fire, bad. It was a lot deeper than that, and so many twists and turns of it as well. Like first of all, is the leader angry because he got the belt stolen from him, and kind of like a wrestling backstabbing thing, which is like, seriously, that's what's your problem? But then now we realize, oh no, he's doing a snuff film. Oh, okay. Oh, but now on top of that, he also wants to raise Satan from hell. So there's a whole lot of different layers as to why this guy is doing what he's doing. And as I continued to read the part, I thought this is really well done and very a lot of depth and layers to it, like you said.
There is an extra level of investment to come onto a project and then also say, like, how can I be of help? How can I be of service as executive producer? What made you want to take that, and then what did you count as that collaboration? Like, what happened there? Were you saying?
Well, like I said, because one of the things was just wanting to make sure that we got the wrestling part of it right.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to get wrong, because wrestling is not an easy world to understand. If you're in the business, you really figure out very early on that it's neither fish nor fowl, so to speak. It's this fantasy world that's sometimes it's real and sometimes it's not, and it goes by what the crowd is reacting to, but there's also a boss in charge who kind of dictates the flow and the way that the guys speak and the girls speak, just the whole element of it. Like just eating, for example, the breakfast with the green jello and the fish sticks, or that's like okay, that's free food is good food, man. So it might not look like much, but it's like, man, I wish I would have had free jello at some of the shows that I did. And being on these types of trips, like I can think of 100 times before I ever went anywhere in the business of working small towns like this, and it could have just as easily been me getting this big payoff to go to a small town in Alberta, Rimbey or Ponoka. Don, our producer, would know those places, but just these small little towns. It's like going up to the fish skills or something and doing, Ithaca, New York, or even further than that, and you're kind of just wondering, like, okay, what am I doing here? And this element of that was very real as well. So I kind of just wanted to make sure, almost like a consultant, I guess you'd say, of making sure that the wrestling side of it was as close to being legit as possible.
And did you find a lot of your colleagues and your fellow actors took to that world quickly, understood what you were getting at?
They did, and before I got onto the project too, you can tell that there was a lot of wrestling training done before for Ayisha and Steven especially. We had a great stunt coordinator, because I was like, for my match, I don't want it to be a match. I'm not taking body slams or anything like that. I want it to be a fight, and that's why I think it really worked with the final fight with Steven and I, because it was really well choreographed, But the wrestling side of things, the Enigma, the mask guy, he's an actual wrestler in Edmonton. Thick and Thin are wrestlers in Edmonton, and they trained Steven and Ayisha for a while before the filming started. So that element of it was fairly legit too. And then for Ayisha's fight with my daughter, Sara Canning, those were some stunt people, but wrestling stunt people. So all of that was really well done as well, because that's very easy to get wrong. And when you see it, it just doesn't look good, and it's like seeing a boom mic in the shot, especially like this movie's made for wrestling fans, it's made for horror movie fans, it's made for people that just like a good movie. But the wrestling side of it, if you see shitty wrestling, you're gonna know that it just doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And we didn't want that. We wanted all elements of this movie to be as legit and to be as pro as possible.
And at the same time, you also want the horror to be as
Absolutely.
legit as possible. And you guys have one of the greatest in the game working cinematography here, Kareem Hussein.
Yeah.
Shot Possessor.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Kareem?
So working with Kareem, I didn't realize exactly how experienced he was until after, because once again, this is 2 years old, the filming of it. And we've done a couple screenings in Montreal and Calgary and Edmonton, so I've gotten the chance to see the movie a few times. And even today it was funny with us, like, are you going to stick around for the movie or just for the Q&A? It's like, no, fuck, I want to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I like the movie, and hearing what you guys popped on and reacted to and laughed at. Something that he did when you watch this again, when it's released January 31st.
January 31st. Thank you.
I just watched it today on our social media, Dark Match social media on Instagram. Kareem was explaining how he lit the movie. And all of the evil is green. All of the good is red. And after just seeing that earlier today, I was watching, and even at the end of the movie, the demon, which was a great surprise, by the way. Like, what the fuck, right? The demon is green, Ayisha is red. At the party, the drinks are green, the lighting is green. The escape, when they get out of the dressing room, there's a red door and they go into red light. So it's very interesting how he shot that.
He's holding a green glow stick.
Yeah.
It's exactly the green glow stick, which maybe was not good, but it's very much shot in that way. So he did a great job with that, and also cutting it with the VHS, because the movie is kind of late 80s or so.
Yeah.
All of those elements, it really goes to show when you make a movie, and you guys are movie fans as we all are, it's not just the actor or the script or the scenery, the gore. It's all of the behind the scenes. Even the Department 9 are a great production company that put this all together. But then Kareem's cinematography and just all of like the fire, when it starts on fire, like it looks really good. Mm-hmm. And when we film that, those fire bits, it's all real. It wasn't the CGI. And I know because it was so cold when we did the fire scene, I was inside like warming up next to the fire, right? But just the way they shot that, and we did this up in Edmonton, just the fact that all of these very creative people were available, some from the city, some from outside the city, but just to put together this amazing piece of film. Because like I said, when you hear it or see it, it's like, oh, a wrestling horror movie, okay. It's so much more than that, and after you see it, you realize it's a really well done piece of work, something that for me, who I usually hate watching stuff that I'm in, I've watched it 4 times now in front of an audience, and I'm excited to watch it more times.
We're going to get audience questions in a minute, but final question from me. I know you're a fan of the genre, you love horror movies. If you had a double feature with another satanic cult movie, what would you pick?
Terrifier.
If there's a satanic cult in Terrifier. I don't know. The kind of the movies where they're trying to bring Satan up conjure Satan up from the ground, so to speak. I don't know if I've ever really seen anything like this before. Where we actually see Satan at the end. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a Devil's Reign type vibe to it there,
I was thinking Race with the Devil is good.
That's a good one. Or if you ever seen an American movie, it's like Coven or Coven. I will say one more thing, and I'm sure you guys might ask about it, but the effects team on this was amazing as well. Yeah. I didn't realize how bloody the overall movie was until we see it. Like even the shot where with the wind match, when the guy gets his throat cut. By the way, it was amazing because he puts his fingers in, and I just noticed tonight 2 of those fingers get cut off. But just the blood spraying into the wind, and it's just everywhere. And even my death scene, it's really crazy. Like when you're in it, how they were able to do that with the knife, and it goes in here and it comes up, and there's a big giant gash there, and it's all bloody. And then I was just watching when I spit the blood, I could still taste it. They try and make it tasteless, but it still has a little bit of a spirity taste. It's a little bit gross because you don't want to swallow it. But you got a mouthful, and just that whole element of it was really well done too. They definitely, like everything on screen looks good, like the pitchfork snapping in half and Michael getting stabbed on it, like it really looked good. Like it was not like everyone's, oh wow, like that's what you want when you go to a theater and see a movie with people who've probably seen 1,000 deaths on screen, but you can still get a reaction. You know you've done something right.
We've got time for some questions. So, first hand up.
Yeah, I was curious if during your time touring you've had any weird or unnerving small town tour stop experiences that really stood out.
Nothing like that. I mean, like I said, my small town experiences in the early days were I remember one time I mentioned the name Rimbey, which sounds ridiculous, but Rimbey, Alberta, and we went to do a show on the same night. It's a college town. There's one college in town, a university. And our show was the same night as the homecoming beer bash for the college. So needless to say, I think the college had 1,000 people, and we had literally 7 people. So that you want to talk about terrifying. I'd much rather be in a fire, wind, or earth match than wrestle in front of 7 people.
Yeah, right here.
Big fan. I'm the same age as you, and you're fucking annoying because you do fucking everything. So my question is, if I really, first of all, where's the belt? I'd like to bid on that belt on eBay if you put it up.
I actually have a replica. I don't know what the real one is, but I have one.
Awesome. So the question is, like, what are you going to be like depleted of ambition? Like, what's next for you? Like, what do you have like a resume list that you keep checking things off, or things just present themselves and you take them?
Yeah, I think more of that, just things present themselves and I take them. And I've had a really good year, like the fiscal year. I was in a Hallmark movie called Country Hearts, and then Country Hearts Christmas, of course, and then Terrifier 3, and then Dark Knight. All all sides of the coin. So
I want to say the hallmark to Shudder pipeline actually does exist.
there you go. And we should explore that.
Watch it.
Do Hallmark horror. But yeah, so like I said, to get the elusive offer, I've been on a pretty good run of that. So just to continue to do cool stuff that you guys get a chance to enjoy. That's kind of what my goal and my mission is.
Yay!
Thanks.
Thank you!
Let's go back there. Last row.
Hi, yes. Well, first I'll say that I don't know anything about wrestling, and I usually can't stomach horror, but I loved this movie. I really, really did.
Wow, thank you.
I do love music, and I really loved all of the soundtracks.
Hell yeah. Yep. Hell yeah.
I don't know if you had any part in that, but I was wondering if you could speak to the music in the movie, because I thought it was just really fantastic.
Well, first of all, if you don't like wrestling and you can't stomach horror, what are you doing here? Oh, you came to support your man. Okay, that's great. Well, we're glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, I always, anything that I do, it's not just for a certain genre of fans. It's just for people that enjoy a fun movie, and I think that's what we gave you guys tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
The music was great. I didn't have much to do with it, once again, when we first saw it. Don DePoe over here is our producer.
Yeah!
Came all the way from Edmonton, Canada to keep an eye on me. But yeah, so like, when I was watching it for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, Kiss shouted out loud, and then you've got Word Up by Cameo, and then you've got the other one you might not know is Raise a Little Hell. That's a Canadian standard by a band called Trooper, that in Canada, it's like, that's a huge, huge song. So when it started off with Raise a Little Hell, I was like, holy shit, they spent some money on this. There's even a Fozzy song, Party, one of our songs, Enemies, in the background there too. So I think they did a great job, because once again, this movie's set in the late 80s, but these songs are not, I mean, I'm assuming that Kiss is not cheap.
Don, can you confirm?
What's that? Oh, there you go. But whatever works, right? Yeah, I think they did a really good job of picking some good tunes. And then when Word Up comes in there, that's one of those ones that we all know, and it really just fit the vibe of it. So really, really well done on the musical choices. Very good question.
Right here? Orange? Yes. Beautiful jacket.
It's like the Donahue show now.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, what is your all-time favorite horror monster or creature? And what are two questions are okay. And what are three bands that you're really into listening to right now?
I don't know. My favorite horror movie ever is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yeah.
I'll go with The Thing, maybe.
Oh yeah.
And bands I'm listening to, kind of the same as I've always been. I saw the Stones 4 times last year, which was great. I'm going to go see Metallica this summer. I haven't seen them on this tour yet. Just saw Iron Maiden a couple months ago. I like the new Avenged Sevenfold record. Whatever, just whatever I'm into at the time. Halloween always a pleasure. Yeah, so that's kind of the things I'm into. How about this guy in the front?
Yeah, great.
What's going on?
Jericho, big fan. There's actually a gift for my lady love right here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's a huge fan.
Thank you.
She's like blurring my eyes. I'm trying not to cry. I had to blur her eyes the whole night. Anyway, Chris, you're talented and you're a great writer. Are we ever gonna have a chance to see a Chris Jericho horror feature?
I don't know, man. It's something that someone asked me that the other day, and I've written 5 books, and it takes about a year to write a book. Yeah. It takes a long time to really get it right and get all the edits done and get it exactly the way you want it. And I would assume writing a script would probably take about the same.
Right.
I've never written a script before, but in 2006, I'd never written a book before. So it's something that I probably would think about doing. I actually have a couple ideas that could work. It's just a matter of sitting down and making it okay, here's going to be my goal to do it, because it takes a while to get into it. For example, writing a book, it might take a couple months. Okay, once you get hooked, you can't stop writing.
Yeah.
It's like every single waking moment you're writing. So once I maybe find an idea that kind of crystallizes in my mind, and once I get into the mode, then I could probably do it. Maybe I will.
Oh yeah.
Right here in the middle.
Hey, how you doing? I was just wondering, where did you channel the character? Where did you get your?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
So that's actually a really good question. And just watching it, because we're making a joke, you guys laugh at it. His name is the leader, and that's like it's the leader or the prophet. Yeah. So it's just by seeing that, it instantly made me think of the walking dude, who's the kind of the demon in The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand.
Yeah.
And I just kind of instantly started thinking about that, and I had nothing to do with the wardrobe, but when they had kind of the big kind of duster coat and the cowboy hat, it really made me think of the Walking Dude, which if you guys haven't watched the Stand miniseries they put out a couple years ago, or heaven forbid read the book, please do. It's 1,000 pages long, so it's a project. It's worth it. It's one of the fucking greatest books of all time. But the Walking Dude is kind of where I got some inspiration for that, where he doesn't really show his hand too much, and that's also too why I wanted to do a little bit more of a comedic line delivery for that one part. Like, you get your chance, man, or whatever said, to show that he's starting to enjoy himself, which is another thing that the Walking Dude does in The Stand. When he starts getting into it, he does a little bit of a hop, and he kind of it says he does a little jig, which freaks everybody out because he's this crazy demonic, killer who's then doing a weird jig, and so that kind of was an inspiration for it, and a little bit of a background I was able to build on a bit.
Cool.
That's great, thank you. Okay, we got time for 2 more, so we're gonna go right there with the beanie on. I know you've had your hand raised for a while.
Yeah, I got 2 questions for you, Jericho. So, one,
3 more.
Cut the promo.
Are you gonna take that, Jericho?
No way, man. Using this persona of the leader as a gimmick later in wrestling. And question number 2, can I get some tickets to the Jericho Cruise?
Well, I just happen to have one right here. I was waiting for someone to ask. Yeah, they're not tickets, they're cabins. So if it was a ticket to,
I like the poop thing.
there you go, swab the deck. What was the first part of the question? Oh yeah, I don't think I'd ever bring this out in an actual.
No, because like Sting used the crow.
Yeah.
You ever thought about that for your?
Not for this character. Like I said, what I wanted to do was make people kind of forget that it's Chris Jericho, which when you first see him on the screen, of course, but I think once we get into it, you see a little bit more of just the leader rather than, this Jericho wearing a cowboy hat and saying evil stuff. So once because like I said, I'm pretty strict on myself and very hard on what I do, and I felt when we got into the fights that you kind of forget who this is and just see him as the prophet and the leader. So I think I'll leave him in that movie where he belongs.
Awesome.
And orange jacket number 2. Guys have it.
Hey, so you play music, you wrestle, you're in movies now.
Ow!
What things do you like doing the most?
What do I like doing the most?
Wrestling, baby.
I like doing all of them, to be honest with you. Is that what you asked me? Okay. You looked over there, did you make a bet or something? Honestly, at this point, I do what I enjoy to do. I don't do anything for money. I never did. If you love what you do, money will come. If you do something for money, it usually doesn't last because it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So everything that I do is because I really love doing it. I still love wrestling, obviously love performing with Fozzy. Really enjoy acting, and I really enjoy all of the projects I've been fortunate to do. Hopefully there'll be more. But that's the thing about acting. Like, you get 4 or 5 roles in a row. Terrifier 3 is the #1 movie.
Right here.
Dark Match debuting on Shudder with the Screen USA. and nothing in the pipeline to follow up.
Soon, baby.
But that's the world of show business, and I've been in show
baby.
business for 34 years, so it's nothing new. I'll just continue to keep doing what I can and enjoying it, and everything will follow after that.
Let's hear it for Jericho. Dark Match is on Shudder, January 31st. In select Alamo Draft Houses, January 31st. We'll be back for the Shudder Showcase, February, March, April. It's Shudder's 10th year, so celebrate with us. Thank you.
You are beautiful on the inside.